Well, so much for market predictions. Welcome, everybody. I'm Neil Cavuto. And the feeling was that if the Italian reform effort to speed up its political process went down to defeat, which it did, handsomely, I might point out, by about a 6-4 margin, then the markets would tank not only in Italy, but in Europe. It would extend pretty much worldwide. One little footnote, it didn't happen. Why didn't it happen? Even when the Italian prime minister submitted his resignation, that would be like you leaving your company, forced out, and everyone applauds. Ouch. The Italian for ouch is ucce. Just to let you know. All right, we've got the European Parliament member Daniel Hannan, force behind this movement years ago. And Daniel, I mean, well, that's a great thank you to the Prime Minister. He tries to speed up a process, but a populist movement overwhelms him, and now he's out. What do you think?
Well, his basic problem is that, incredible as this is, Italy hasn't really grown since it joined the euro 17 years ago. Italy's economy is about the same size now that it was in 1999, and his fingerprints are all over that murder weapon. He was the guy who was the Brussels candidate here. The EU loved him. He said, right, I'm working for the United States of Europe. So voters were not going to reward someone standing on that shtick in any circumstances, and he's paid the price.
Why don't you think, Daniel, the markets had the same reaction they did initially to Brexit when your fine country decided we don't want to be part of this club anymore? What happened?
It's a pattern here, isn't it? Brexit, Trump, you know, all the experts tell us that the sky is going to fall in and it'll be a disaster and so on. And of course, reality asserts itself. I mean, I remember we were told before Brexit, if you vote to leave, there'll be an immediate recession. There'll be a recession in 2016. Obviously, that's not happened. We were told unemployment would rise. In fact, it's at its lowest level ever. We were told that the stock exchange would collapse. We weren't told that that would be the Italian stock exchange and that British stocks would be the best performing in Europe. And much the same here as I understand it when Donald Trump was elected. And, you know, the experts were implicated, I think, in having tied themselves to this kind of Euro-corporatist vision, and they've been shown to be wrong.
You know, I heard from one representative today on Fox Business, which, Daniel, if you don't get, you should demand. But anyway, his basic take was this. Don't get too cocky here. The populists worldwide shouldn't react to this as a great market cure. Oh, sure, your Dow is likely to hit a record at the time. That's what he was saying, and sure enough, it did. Other markets might bounce up. Sure enough, they did. But this is just a short-lived phenomenon, that the longer-term trend is down because the world, to quote him, is going to hell in a handbasket. What do you say?
Well, no one has yet been able to overcome the economic cycle. There is always going to be boom and bust. But what we're going to find is that in my country, all the downsides are going to be attributed now to Brexit by the experts, and all the good sides are going to be all the good.
That's true. I didn't think of that. You're right about that.
And, you know, eventually, I mean, the people who are saying, oh, we'll just wait for it all to go wrong, of course, eventually they're going to be proved right, because cyclically, that's what happens, and there will be an ucce, as you Italian-Americans say.
Well, you know, I'm wondering, do you think that part of this fear was that each country is building up its own walls? Now, I always had a problem. I know you would always explain to me how this whole European Union was supposed to work, and you were never a fan. This idea that if one country's having problems, you know, you can either cut interest rates, devalue your currency, whatever you want to do, but you can't do that when you're all part of the same club and you're all sharing the same currency. So on paper, it never seemed to make sense. Is the reality here that depending on how things go in a few closely watched contests next year, that this whole European Union itself, you could stick a fork in it? What?
Well, I mean, the European Union, in a sense, has already failed. The two biggest projects that it rested on were the euro and the Schengen Agreement, which opened the borders. Both of those turned out to be fair weather schemes that didn't survive the first storm. The euro was cruelly shown to be a disaster when the debt crisis hit, and of course Schengen is crumbling under the weight of the migration crisis. So the promises that were made to voters by all the experts and the politicians have shown to be false. But I'm very optimistic about Britain. I mean, as we cut loose from that particular mess, we're now in a position to be able to have free trade agreements with our friends here and further afield, and we can use Brexit to lift the whole world economy by revitalizing a stalled world trading system, and that fills me with optimism about the future.
Dan, always good having you. Thank you very much. If I don't see you again, have a Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Neil. Same to you.